Today is July 17, 2021. My name is Charles Suter. Today I'm presenting Part 8 of my Rationality series. These include the Rational Rules set number 2. Previously, in previous presentation, I gave Rational Rules number 1. This is the second set. My main purpose of these presentations on rationality is to help you become a more rational person. My main message: by following the rational rules, you become rational. Rational is simply common sense plus the rational rules. The philosophy of rationality examines the logical consequences of a person's own self-talk, their emotions, and directed actions to determine the rationality of their intentions. The rationalist seeks to instill and retain only rational beliefs in their subconscious mind, because the person's dominant beliefs are the ultimate cause of all their emotions and behaviors, and hence the cause of all their lifetime results. A person becomes rational by following the rational rules and also by seeking hidden, irrational beliefs currently causing him to live a less than life of limitations and an excess of emotional distress. Using thought control under conditions of high conscious awareness, the rationalist can deliberately choose the rational beliefs objectively needed to support a life of success and happiness. Rational rule number 4. If you want X, then you must do Y to get it. The rationalist knows that there's a price to be paid for everything. The rationalist anticipates the price to be paid for all his aspirations. Given limited time and resources, the rationalist chooses his goals judiciously. One of the keys to success and happiness is knowing in advance the cost of success and deciding that you are both capable and willing to pay the price. If you want a particular outcome, Y, but believe that the cost X is unreasonable, unfair, somehow degrading, then you might have an irrational belief standing in your way of getting what you want. The rationalist will weed out any erroneous beliefs that are causing him to over or underestimate the cost X to get the benefit Y. The rationalist knows that life is often unfair. He and other people sometimes make mistakes, but realistically, sometimes the cost to get what he wants is simply too high relative to the benefits. Once the rationalist has an unbiased estimate of the cost X, he decides if he is willing to pay that price to gain the rewards Y. Ultimately, the law of reality still applies, and the rationalist understands that if he wants a particular result, then there are objectively defined inputs that he must undertake to get any outcome. Rational rule number 5. Anticipate logical consequences. Actions have consequences, so the rationalist is forward-looking. Before taking action, the rationalist anticipates the likely outcomes. If the rationalist anticipates good outcomes, he proceeds. If not, he stops. The rationalist knows that all outcomes are caused by all the conditions necessary for any particular outcome to be present. If the rationalist wants to create a particular outcome, he knows he must supply the necessary conditions to create that result. If the rationalist wants to prevent a particular outcome, he knows he must prevent some or all of the necessary conditions that would logically create that result. The rationalist is thinking ahead of his actions to determine if he's likely to produce good outcomes. The rationalist knows that any action incited by emotional distress and negative self-talk seldom leads to good results, so he immediately takes action to change his negative thoughts via thought control. The rationalist only proceeds to action when his dominant thoughts and emotions are positive and supportive of a good outcome. Rational rule number 6. Control your inputs. The rationalist knows he can only control his inputs, but not the outcome. The rationalist concentrates on providing the requisite inputs to a goal he wants to achieve. The rationalist derives satisfaction both from the inputs and also the outcomes. The rationalist knows that He only has direct control over the inputs and never can complete control over the outcomes. Every outcome is the product of the requisite inputs plus a defined process for combining those inputs. So the rationalist is input and process oriented, focusing on those two semi-controllable variables rather than the less controllable outcomes. The rationalist achieves success by 1. Choosing his goals wisely, based upon a judicious evaluation of the expected rewards relative to the expected costs, which includes time, effort, and money, and 2, focusing his attention on the more controllable process and inputs. Thus, if success is less than desired, the rationalist is not dismayed because he derives his satisfaction from knowing he did the right things, which is his inputs, at the right time, which is the processes, to get what he wanted. My final message, if you want to become rational, then follow the rational rules. The rationalist has learned to apply the rational rules to his advantage, to gain success, and without many of the associated negative frustrations that come from a mind cluttered with irrational beliefs. If you want to become a more rational person, then you must use your conscious awareness to detect the presence of negativity from any source, including negative thoughts, negative emotions, or problematic actions. Where and whenever you find sources of irrationality, you must discipline yourself to stop and think before proceeding any further. Negativity is the trigger or alarm that something is amiss, where you need to take corrective actions before proceeding. Then, by using thought control, you can determine and choose to stop thinking about those causal thoughts producing the negativity. Even if you aren't sure of what specific irrational beliefs are causing the negativity, simply decide how you want to feel and act, and then start thinking those thoughts are supportive of positivity. Later, in quiet contemplation, you can trace the original negative thoughts back to the likely causal irrational beliefs and begin the process of replacing them with self-chosen rational beliefs. Time and repetition of self-chosen positive affirmations will eventually extinguish the old irrational beliefs. That's all for now. Remember to stay positive. You'll be happier, healthier, and live longer.